Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for Bitcoin. Now in a moment I'm going to go from the daily candlestick charts all the way down to the micro counts. But I just wanted to talk about real quick about all the FOMO and stuff in the markets. If you're unaware, it is the Mt. Gox situation. And they were an exchange that got hacked back in, speculated like 2013. They filed for bankruptcy in 2014 and their customer funds were hacked. And as of July, they've started repaying back those customers. And there's some misconception that they have 140,000 Bitcoin they're returning to customers, and there's some speculation that they're selling that Bitcoin into the market. That's not the case whatsoever. What's going on is Mt. Gox is transferring the actual Bitcoin in the form of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash to the customer, and then it's up to the customer what to do from there. So they're not just liquidating all that into the market, right? So keep that in mind when you read these sort of things. And also think of what type of person was into Bitcoin back in 2013, 14, right? I would argue, obviously they weren't necessarily trading for the monetary value of it. They were probably believing more in the project in general, right? It wasn't even really known back then. All right, but that's just my 2 cents on there. And obviously we can use Elliott Wave to help us decide where potential pivot points are. And if people FOMO into the market, they might just get capitulated out and miss out, right? All right, but anyways, I'm going to get into the charts here off of last video. What we're looking for, these are idealized targets, but I have a couple different counts. I added one more after reanalyzing today. I analyze this stuff every day, right? Just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But we are looking for a few different things. This is now the most probable, in my point of view, is that we have a wave 1 and 2. Our third, we're working on a larger term fourth wave. We were originally looking for a fifth here, but because of how much time has passed, it's now more likely a third wave, and working on our fourth wave of the larger degree. Came up just shy of the 1.618, which leads me to believe that we'll get an extended fifth wave moving forward after this is complete. Now, if we take our time of wave 2, this is just idealized guidelines. This isn't a rule, but I extended wave 2 out from wave 3. That would be August 11th would be the idealized time frame where wave 4 equals wave 2. So just keep that in mind. You can also see we are at the bottom of our pitchfork trend line, and I mentioned that I'd like to see it go sideways here and then come below, at which point I will switch to modified pitchfork. But until that happens, I'm just holding this. Other things to keep in mind, I know everyone's watching this level here, the last pivot area. Price range of that is about 50,550, 52,823 in that zone. My viewpoint is we need to come between the fourth wave of 1 lesser degree, which is below that level. So perhaps we get capitulation right below that level that everyone's watching at around the 382 area at 48,722. But we'll zone in that on the smaller time frames as we move forward. All right, so I'm going to go down to the smaller time frames. We're just focusing on this wave 4 area, so keep that in mind. All right, so I have a couple things I'm looking at here and a couple different timelines. This is the one I showed us last time. It's not great, but it gets us there the fastest. And that is, we had our 3-wave W. We then had a very extended running triangle. E-wave was a little shy, but it's completely valid. And then we come down for a 3-wave Y right here and complete very soon. Now, timeline of that, again, idealized, is I take the W wave in time, extend it off our E wave and we can get extended out, but we look for at least a 1-to-1 in time, and maybe even the 1.618, which takes us out to like July 11th. So in that scenario, I would be expecting after this correction is done and we get a move to the downside, just one more move. Perhaps that's the capitulation we're talking about, and then we move to all-time highs again. Now, what I would expect under that situation is we reclaim this area here quite quickly and then get a sideways consolidation. I would not be interested in purchasing this until that happened. I then put my stop at the low, look for the 50 and the 618 and an ABC, look to buy into that. I wouldn't just buy into that capitulation. So that's scenario one. We just come down for one more move, making an ABC here, and we complete. Targets for that. I pulled from our W wave off this proposed E wave. You can see here. Was there, right? Am I on the wrong one? So I got a lot of measurements on. There it is. So our 1-to-1's at 52,607. That's the one everyone's watching. We'd have to see if that completes there. That's the 1-to-1 of W off X. Looks a little shy even with the current wave. It would have to come a little bit lower, perhaps the 1.618. That's at 46,667. That would be a little better. It would look a little more better symmetry between these two waves, as you can see. But I'll make sure to update on the smaller time frames once we get down there, looking for an entry. All right, so that is the first one. Next one is the flat. Let me get rid of this for a second. Tracking a couple different things here. There we go. The flat is, this is either a wave as either a double zigzag like so, WXY for our A wave, or you can count this as a triangle here. It doesn't really matter. It's the same thing, right? A, B, C. It's the same thing as a WXY, or if you're on the triangle, it doesn't change any targeting or pivots. Important thing is we came to the 90% retracement, which makes a flat valid. So if we're running out a flat here, we're looking for 5 waves to the downside as a 3, 3, 5. Now this one, I also took our A wave off our B wave in time. That would take us out to about July 25th. Gets me a little closer to that August 11th date. Obviously C waves can get extended out in time a little bit. That's just the minimum I would want to see to feel good about it. It's not a rule, more of a guideline, but just to feel good about it and have sort of the right look and everything, right? So in this one, we have a 3-wave A, B looking for 5 waves down. Have this as a zigzag for our first wave 1, looking for zigzag patterns on the way down. Looking for this to be an A, B, C as well. Then we get our 4th, A, B, C down for our 5th. That gets us right to all those zones I was talking about. A capitulation below this level into the previous 4th wave of 1 lesser degree. And partially why I'm tracking this smaller pitchfork here. So let's throw that pitchfork on, go down to the 1 hour. So remember, in this situation, we're just looking for a C wave. And in the triangle one previous, we're just looking for one more wave down to complete in the Y wave. Just difference of 5 waves or 3. Zones are pretty much the same. This one just looks better for timing and the right look. I think this one will be my primary until something changes. I just threw on this pitchfork because it seems to be respecting it. That's from the top of that B wave, offer wave 1 and 2. Not sure what correction we're going to get here. Some sort of 3-wave. And looking for this to be an A, B, C for our 3rd. Get our 4th, A, B, C for our 5th. and to complete. Now there is trade setups here. I'll tell you when I'm interested in it. Currently not interested in a short yet. I need a completed pattern. I was counting this out as a potential impulse. If you remember from last video, we wanted to see the reaction here to see how big we were going to get. And this is clearly a three-wave move to me. I don't see any other way to count that unless you're really stretching. Hit the 618. Yeah, that's our minimum requirement. I mean, I'm sure people are stretching and calling this like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can see it just doesn't have the right look. It doesn't follow it doesn't follow the guidelines properly, channeling, nothing like that. It just looks like a three-wave move. We then got a pretty harsh sell-off here. Looks like another three-wave move. Perhaps a double zigzag. C, X, A, B, C. And then we got a three-wave move off the low, right? So there's a few different things we can get here. I wouldn't even be surprised if this ends up being a flat pattern where you come down, come up, something like this, go down for our C wave in our third on the micro, or we could even make some sort of grind up here, make some sort of flat, then get our C, then come down. This is why I always talk about B waves being the most erratic and the toughest to trade. Your best bet is to trade at the lows or above and look for the move to the downside, or if this comes down, look for the move to the upside, then reverse, right? But stick to the outer ends of it, not right in the middle. This can do anything. Could even turn into some sort of triangle, B wave, and then come up for our C, then reverse. There's just so much that can happen. I more track these in real time, and if the opportunity presents itself, I will scalp it. And if it doesn't, I'll just wait. The clear thing about this is this does not look like a bottom, right? We don't have 5 waves in whatsoever. The only way I would change my mind is if this turns into some sort of diagonal where it actually is valid as a potential low, but I don't see that right now. And the issue with diagonals, which is always the issue, is this looks like a 5-wave move, right? Looks like a 5-wave move. What does a diagonal also look like? A WXY with a flat in the middle, right? That's the issue. So in those situations, the most important thing is what happens after. Do we sell off quickly, or do we make some sort of sideways consolidation, ABC, right? This is where the more and more you do Elliott Wave, the more you learn these things, and the less you are taken by surprise by things. But as of right now, I'm just gonna let this pan out. I might take a short up here if we get up here, depending how we come down in this area. If we come back, say in a 3-wave, and we reclaim some sort of smaller term wave here, and a nice little 5-wave move on the micro, I might take that for the C wave before I flip. And obviously areas where this becomes completely invalidated is above this wave too, if something happens there at 63, 861. I just don't see it currently whatsoever. So until something changes, that's what I'm looking for. Looking for this to complete in a diagonal. Something like that. All right, guys, so that's it for Bitcoin. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.